Hey everybody, it's Suzanne here to talk to you about sometimes either your least favorite or maybe your most favorite topic in the whole range of align always issues. So if you think about it, I talk about aligning in 360 degrees. So that means with yourself and your higher source, with the people that you work with around you, and with the circumstances that you're facing, like the ground underneath you. One of the things that oftentimes people find difficult to do is to align always, meaning 360 degrees of alignment, with 360 degrees of accountability. Because typically, many of us have been raised in family systems, and probably correctly so at that time, where there was more of a pyramid structure, and so you wouldn't necessarily talk back to an authority figure or give them feedback because that's just not what you did. Now, many of us, though, find ourselves in work situations where it's very, very important to give feedback to the person, let's say, above us in that structure. So I want to talk about some of the reasons why people don't and some of the ways to overcome that, okay? So first of all, I want to introduce the idea of intragenerational mentorship. This is not discussed in the principle that you listened to in the previous video. Intragenerational mentorship means that I receive mentorship from people older than me. I give mentorship to people older than me. I receive mentorship from people younger than me, and I give mentorship to people younger than me. So you see how that's also a kind of an alignment across the genetic line, and it helps me grow and learn. Now that's newer for me, and it might be the first time some of you are hearing that. What I want you to do is take that concept and think about how powerful that could be in your family. Think about how powerful that could be in your company. So for instance, when I'm working on this with folks in a company, a lot of times the younger people might say, I don't want to tell my boss, what I think about what, they're doing right or wrong. And I'm like, why? Let's break that down so that we can remove that barrier. So one of the things that they'll sometimes say is that I don't really have a picture of that being okay. And they'll reference back to what I said earlier, that they have a picture of that more pyramid style family. A second thing that they might say is, that's not really my role. And I have a fear of the repercussions. Like, what if I'm kind of heard as somebody who's, talking back or is disrespectful or it's not my turn, that's not my place. So I hear that a lot. And then I also hear like, hey, Suzanne, that's not my responsibility. Like, they're the head of the company. I'm doing my job. So this is where things can get out of alignment though, because I'm saying it both to the people that want to be able to speak up and to the people who have others working with and for them to give them permission to talk to you, because you got to realize they've got this stuff they're working to overcome. Because here's what you don't want to have happen is if people feel like it's not their responsibility to have you be successful, that's not good. You want to be aligned all together as a team in a unified goal and a unified vision that you're all moving towards, because otherwise there's this energy fracturing off. And so if somebody says, hey, it's not my responsibility, then they also get to have that place, how do I want to say it? They get to reserve the right, not that it's a correct right, but they get to reserve the right to blame the person. See, I told you so, except they didn't tell you so. They just get to have that private and personal opinion. So to summarize this, Align Always is about having a 360 degree communication for all the different realms of what you're working on, knowing that it's dynamic and knowing that you need to do it always, not just once, you've got to do it constantly. And it also means that there's that same thing for the accountability. So I am, to some degree, responsible for other people around me being successful in their work and giving and receiving positive and constructive operational feedback that will help them do their work and live their lives. So look, you guys, I know there's a lot of places we can point to where this isn't happening ideally yet. That's our job, though, is to be the first people to start that, to help support it. And I encourage you to use some of the other Lightyear principles along with this, like happiness is a choice, or perhaps fun is strategic. Because sometimes aligning all ways can be heavy for people because it's a newer sort of lifting. Yet I think that you'll find as you do more of this within your families, it's going to really just make everything a little more, I think, just like a little bit more of a sense of belonging. And most of the time, conversations that people have to create alignment, they might feel like they're long. They might think, okay, let's get to the work. Where's the work going to happen? Well, people often don't count all the time they had to redo something because they weren't aligned. So taking the time to align deeply and get connected and have that sense of belonging is really what we are best in the world at here at Lightyear. So have fun practicing, write us questions, and align always. Take care.